Well, this is Vivian. I'm Vivian Davis, and this is Family Tales, T-A-L-E-S. But call it T-E-L-E-S, but it's all going to sound like T-A-L-E-S because it sounds like a lie, but it's not. It's true. My mother loved to fish. A lot of these stories about my mother was bipolar. She had me when she was real young, and she really didn't have a raising, and so none of us really did. So she did the best she could. Don't judge her too hard. And I'm sure we've all done our share of stuff. But anyway, in this particular story, she wasn't doing anything particularly bad, but it's funny. We would go to Highfalls. I lived after I'd been married for a good long while, and my mother had moved here close to me, well, not where I am now, but moved close to where I was living in Stockbridge, Georgia, and we were going fishing together, and we had decided that we were going to go to Highfalls, which is down towards Macon off of 75. There's this place called Highfalls, which is this community, and it has a great big dam, and off the dam there's a slough area, a concrete way, spillway that spills water most of the time, even when the water's low, and the crappie use it as a way to get back and forth. And so there's a lot of crappie that goes over that spillway. And so a lot of people, including us at the time, would go fishing in this little narrow place that looked more like a great big wide ditch, that man-made ditch, but it was actually part of the spillway for the dam. Anyways, we decided we were going to go fishing. And we had gotten there and we looked, and there was a beautiful otter that was always in there, and you could watch the otter, and it would try to catch fish as they would come over the spillway. And anyway, it was one of our favorite places to fish, but this particular day the otter was so active that we had to fish more down towards the center of the slough than up towards the top where we usually like to fish, because there was more of a shade, and that was a deeper portion, and we generally thought we got better bites there. So, but anyway, today we fished down further because the otter was there, and it was causing a bit of a problem as far as the fishing goes. Anyway, Mom was my size and a little bit bigger, and she had to tuck in the old quilt, and this Highfalls is a park. It's a state park that you can go to. And right beside the park, there's this little picnic area, and there's a couple of pine trees that they had allowed the grass to grow up between these two little pine trees, and there's a picnic here, but everything else was pristinely mowed, and the grass was probably that high. It wasn't very, it was beautiful, manicured, and the section that Mom had chosen to fish at was over near the slough, concrete slough-like great big wide ditch that they'd put for the dam, and she put her quilt out next to it, and it was about that far away from the edge, and she had her legs out, and they were like spread out wide like this, and she was just sitting flat on her butt, sitting there holding her fishing pole like that, fishing. Well, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law lived close to us, and they'd got in the habit of coming fishing to Highfalls too, and just by chance, they had decided that they were going to come fishing that day too. And so they came driving up, and they always fished in about the same spot we did. They knew about the spot, and so they were there to go fishing, and they pulled up, and whenever my husband's brother, Danny, walked up, he decided to walk between those two trees that had just a little bit of grass grown up, and when he did, he scared a snake out. Well, this snake was about that long. It wasn't super long, but I don't know what kind of snake it was, but it was a snake. And the snake got run out, and there was no, it's pristine flat grass, and the only thing that was out there for cover was my mother sitting there with her legs spread out like this, holding her fishing pole in the front, and that snake looked for the only place it had to hide, and that was Mother. And that snake went flying up there, and it did a figure 8 between her legs while she was sitting there, and she got to bouncing up and down from a flat sail like a ball. You wouldn't think it'd be possible. It looked like a cartoon. I mean, she was coming off the ground that high. I mean, it was high. It was crazy. I don't know how anybody could do that from a flat set, especially in the health she was and the size she was, but she was making some height off that ground. And we was laughing so hard that we couldn't breathe. We couldn't help her because we couldn't breathe. We couldn't even move. It was so funny. It was fantastical. It was like you've never seen anything like it. And finally, the snake disenlarged between her legs doing the figure eight, and it slipped off, and it went down the side of the concrete down into the water, and I don't know where it went or what happened to it after that. But Mama was mad. She was so mad at us because we couldn't breathe. We were still rolling. I mean, I think I done made it to the ground because I couldn't breathe and was holding myself. Anyway, she still anytime you talk about it, she get mad. She didn't like it. That's the end of that one.